30-second about yourself just to get to know you real quick.
Yeah, okay. So I grew up in Oklahoma, started sports and gymnastics, switched over to power tumbling when I was like 8. Competed in that for like 2 years before making my first national team. Traveled, competed with national team for like 6 or 7 years, and then was ready for college. So switched to cheer and stunt for that. And now just finishing up school and then starting grad school in January.
Wow, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
What age were you when you first started? I guess you started gymnastics first, so what age were you?
So when I was 2, I started like mommy and me classes and then just kept going. And then the first time we have like pictures or anything of me at like a little mini competition, I was 5.
Why did you make the switch from gymnastics to the tumbling and stunting?
I switched originally because I just like, we could kind of tell that's where I was like more talented. And then I had an injury that made me scared of the other events, and it just, like, even from the very beginning was just where my heart was. Like, it's always what I wanted to do. I always would spend extra time on floor at practice. I would do extra little tumbling lessons and stuff like that. And then one of my mom's high school friends started a tumbling program and was like, oh, like, would you be interested in trying? And then that kind of encouraged us to make the final switch. Yeah, I think just like that there was always something else to reach. Like when I met one goal, there was just always something further. There was always a long-term goal. So I think that just like kept me going. It just kept me motivated and everything.
So I know you're on the stunt team right now. Can you explain it to someone who has never heard of that?
Yeah, so we get this question a lot, and we'll have like an ongoing debate on the best way to explain it. But basically, it's the same skills as cheer, just set up in a game format. So there's 4 quarters. It's partner stunts, pyramids, jumps and tumbling, and then quarter 4 is all of those put together. And so each quarter has 8 routines, and in each game you'll do 4 from each. And it has, like any other game, the quarters, there's possessions. So one team calls a routine, they award a point. Both teams do the same routine at the same time. And then judges award a point to whoever does better. And then possession switches, and then the next team calls a routine. And it just goes on like that through the whole game.
You transferred schools. Why did you decide to do that transfer?
Yeah, so I started at Oklahoma City University, and I was on just the stunt team there. And just the school as a whole, I didn't feel like the classes were anything great. I wasn't doing super well, like, with the team. I was in everything there. So I was in the partner stunts, I was in pyramids, but really, like, my heart was still in tumbling. And there were just a lot of things about, like, the school atmosphere that I didn't love. So I had, like, thought about the idea of transferring. I toured and visited 2 schools. And when I came to DBU, I just, like, loved it. Immediately felt like home. I wanted a school that was driving distance from home that had stunt, and there's not very many of them at all. And then I came here and they were like, okay, like, you know, we have cheer and stunt. You can pick just stunt, but most of our girls do both. And if they do only do one, they only do cheer. And I was like, yeah, like, I'm willing to try it. And if you guys don't think it's a good fit, you can pull me back to just stunt. But then ended up loving cheer too.
Oh, cool. So you're on both right now?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. What do you love most about the cheer team?
I think that it was just something new, something that I had never done. So it still gave me that, like, excitement of, like, the first time we went to Daytona, everyone was like, this is like my childhood dream. And I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. And so it was just like I grew up in tumbling where everything was so strict. I knew all the rules inside and out. And then coming here, it was more just fun. Like, I could just tumble, and that was all I did here. When they recruited me, they were like, you know, you can, like, stunt a little bit, but we just want you to tumble. So that was, like, a big, like, selling point to me. It was like, I can just do what I love, and it's just fun, and ended up being great.
Congratulations on winning nationals. What was that feeling of just being, like, the best of the best?
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, our first year, we knew, like, if we hit our routine, like, we were in, like, a really good spot. And last year, we just, like, didn't do our best our second day. So going into awards that time, we were kind of, like, we had no idea what was going to happen. Honestly, I was, like, really scared. And then just, like, having that feeling was completely different from the first year, even though we won both, just because we had no idea. It's just incredible.
I know you're going into grad school, kind of what you majored in and what you're doing next.
Yeah, so I majored in health sciences with a specification in pre-occupational therapy. So starting to get my doctorate in occupational therapy at Baylor in January.
Who would you say the hero in your story is, your inspiration growing up?
I feel like it kind of switches around like the area. If I had to pick one person, oh goodness, it would be, I'd debate between my mom and my dad, because my dad set like the work ethic standard. Like he was always working hard, would do everything for us. But then my mom, I was like with her all the time. She was my best friend, my rock and everything. So it kind of goes back and forth. And then when I started tumbling, it felt like it was like me and my coach against like the world. So then when I started that, it was him. So it kind of like bounces around throughout everything.
How has your relationship grown with your parents as you gotten older?
Yeah, they're definitely like my best friends. Still talk to them every day. Eventually, hopefully, I'll move back closer to them. But yeah, we're like best friends still.
Could you share a little bit about your faith and how you've come to your faith and that experience for you?
Yeah, so I grew up like when I was really little, we would go to church, but not anything consistent. And then when I started traveling, started practicing like crazy, it just kind of like fell off. And then in 2020, I like kind of started just like going through personal things where it was like I just felt like I needed something else. So then that kind of brought me back into my faith on my own. And then went to Oklahoma City University, and it kind of like, I don't want to say pulled me away from it, but there just wasn't anything there to like help me go deeper into it. So then that was something that I was looking for when I transferred. And then being here, it's just like amazing. Like they integrate faith into like classwork, which in a science program, it's like kind of hard to find that anywhere else. So we had that, and then like our coaches that share their testimonies with us and like encourage us. We have small groups, and it's just been like so helpful. And it's just always like a topic of conversation here. So everyone was just like super encouraging and like pushing. So it just like naturally kind of came the longer you're here.
What would you say like is the hardest thing about being a student athlete?
Well, this semester is my first semester not being on the team, since we're technically a spring sport and I'm graduating in December.
Yeah.
So now that I've like seen the other side of it the last couple of weeks, I'm like, this is like so much easier. So I think it's just like the time commitment, and that there's just like always something else to think about. Like my classes were really hard, so it's like, yeah, my classes are hard, and then I have to go right to practice and then try to switch my brain back to class, and it's just like just having so much going on all the time. It's like, yes, the time commitment, but also just like the mental stress of like I have to think about going over my routines and think about learning this for this, and then I have to think about learning this for class, and it's just puts a lot on you.
How does your relationship with your teammates grown over the years, just being together all the time, a lot of the time?
Yeah, it's been amazing, especially coming from a school where we didn't really have that. That was one of the things that I really wanted, was a team that I felt like I could lean on and that just like really supported each other. And I do feel like I got that here. My first year, it was just different because I was transfer and all the other girls my age had like gone through a year together. But they still like welcomed me in, and it was still amazing. But last year for sure, it just felt like, especially the team that was on the mat in Daytona with me, like we were just so close and we had gone through so much together that it was like I knew no matter what happened, we had each other, which was just an incredible feeling.
How do you prepare mentally and physically for game days?
Yeah, it's definitely different now than it was. Whenever I was power tumbling, I had like a 2-day ritual. Everything had to be exactly the same. I was very superstitious. Like it was a little bit ridiculous. And then once I got to college, I was like, okay, like now I'm just doing it for fun. So I still had my little things, like the way I would tie my shoes would be the same and like stuff like that. But I kind of went into it more like, let's just have fun. I think especially with Stunt, since it's such a long game, it wasn't as like stressful. Like you get one shot, like has to be perfect. So that helped me like just go have fun and not worry as much. And then for cheer, it was kind of just like I just didn't have any like expectations on it since I hadn't done it. So I was still, especially my first year, just like, oh, this is gonna be fun, yay, whatever. And then last year was a little bit more stressful, but it was still like, I know that all I'm doing is tumbling. I was in no group stuff. So I was like, I know that I'll be fine, and that's all I can control. So I think it was just looking at like what I could control, calming myself down, that really just like helped me get through it.
Is there like a fan base for you guys, or is it mostly just parents that come to your game days or competitions?
It's mostly parents. So we only have one home tournament every year. So whenever we have that, we do get like students that are just like, oh, what's stunt? But like cheer, we do like normally one show off here. So it's like everything we do is pretty much gone, like out of the state. We did a couple of stunt tournaments in Texas, but it's like 30 minutes away. So it's like hard to get people there. So we have people that like follow us on Instagram and like come to our home tournament and stuff like that. But it is mostly just parents, but we have a huge like parent turnout all the time. Our parents like dress up, like
Oh,
they bring the energy, so it ends up being like the best.
that's awesome. How does that make you guys feel? Just like your parents supporting you and dressing up and doing all that.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's just incredible to see that they all like care enough to travel with us everywhere and give up their time to come support us, and they don't care about anything else. Like they just embarrass themselves for us, and it's amazing.
That's awesome. How does it help like you guys perform knowing you guys just have that fan base of supporters out there?
Well, it helps so much, yeah. Just like, especially having my parents there who were the same with tumbling. Like, my mom knew all the rules. She was like keeping track of scores, all that. So when I switched over, just knowing like they were having fun with it too helped me a lot. So I was like, you know, it's also their first time seeing me cheer and stuff like that. So it just made me have more fun with it.
Would you say that if there's ever been like a peak moment in your life where it kind of changed your perspective on things?
Yeah, I think first coming to DBU, that definitely happened. Like, I debated on going back to tumbling again my freshman year of college, and my coach was like, you know, I really don't think this is the best decision for you for a ton of reasons. So I think I just kind of coming out of freshman year felt a little just lost. Like I was starting over, didn't know anyone here. And then once I got here, just kind of just the community, the environment, loving my classes and stuff just kind of gave me that feeling of like, okay, like this is where I'm supposed to be. And then this last month or two, I think, I had that again of like, I debated for like 4 months if I was going to stay this year and cheer and apply to grad schools starting next year, or if I was going to decide to graduate early, be done cheering and it was just a mess, and I just had no idea what I was going to do. And then once I finally like made peace with my decision, it all worked out. I was kind of like, okay, like I know I made the right decision. I'm completely at peace with everything, moving on with my life, and just really felt like completely content with everything.
If you were to give advice to your younger self, what would you tell her?
Well, I think that I would tell her just to stick up for myself more. I think that especially when I was tumbling, I was very like, not like I would let myself get walked all over, but I would just like kind of sit back and like let things happen. And I think that I could have been more like, go get them, more out there with like things besides my tumbling. And I think I had the mindset of just like let my tumbling speak for itself, which obviously worked out well. But I think that I could have been more stand up for myself outside of that.
How do you handle like winning and losing?
It's definitely everything's just so different now. Like, since I just went into this having fun, obviously I appreciated the wins, but especially for stunt, like whenever we would lose, we'd be like, it's okay, like it's fine. Yeah. With here, I think there was more pressure, especially since it was just once a year. And thankfully never had to go through the loss there.
Yeah,
The wins were incredible. But then when I was tumbling, it was like, I just had such an expectation on me to win that when I messed up and didn't, it was like, I just felt like such a failure and just didn't really handle that well. So I think that was something that I worked really hard on when I went to college, was like not putting that pressure on myself and being like, if we lose, like, it's fine. And I think also just being a team sport would help that, because it wasn't like all eyes on me, all the pressure on me. But then whenever I would win when I was tumbling, I'd be like, okay, like, yes, it's exciting, but also like that was what was expected of me. Especially at like national meets and stuff like that. Obviously, when we went to like worlds, it wasn't the same, so those were more exciting. But I still like handled the losses the same. Like everything just felt like either a disappointment or like that's what was expected.
How has just being an athlete in general helped your everyday life?
I think it's definitely like made me who I am. I think the like routine type A part of me came from whenever I was little and grew up in a super structured sport environment. And then I think like the work ethic, the determination, like now with school and grades, I'm like I have to get A's, and I think that that comes from needing to like win everything growing up and everything always being in competition. But I think especially like applying to grad schools, it's helped me see like the benefits of it. Like I didn't really have anything else on my applications besides like being a student athlete and everything that came with that. And just seeing how like respected it is and like how people would talk about like the qualities that come out of it really is like just put it into like an adult perspective for me of like what that's going to look like going forward and what that's going to look like in a career. But it's like, yeah, just the work ethic, the dedication to my classes and stuff now, just all come from that.
How do you want to be remembered?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I want to be remembered as like someone that worked hard but was also always kind to everyone, especially after being on a team sport. I think that really like started to show the importance of it. Like I want to be the teammate that works hard and like always shows up, but I also want to be someone that everyone knows they can lean on. And I think having that in sports also has like showed me how to do it outside of sports and like in real life and real friendships and stuff like that. So I think that that would definitely be it.